Do I have time for one more before the sun sets? Whoa, what was that? I just stepped in. I'll leave. Welcome to the third and far from final installment of a series I'm doing. I guess I'll call it Never Been to Spain. I'm just making this up on the spot as far as that goes. But what we're looking at is we're deciding how ethnocentric I am as an American based on the foreign countries I've traveled to throughout my life in chronological order. So you've already learned that in 1988 I traveled to Canada. In 1998 I traveled to Ecuador. Now we're going to talk about in 2002. It was February of 2002. I wasn't quite 21 yet. I was 20 years old, and I went to Trinidad and Tobago. My dad works for a major playground equipment company, and something they do every year, they go to a different country and they build a playground in a place where, see that palm tree? I'm actually in Sacramento, California right now. So they would go to a part of the world, build a playground, donate the parts and pieces, and then build it. It's a big event. And they do that in parts of the world which otherwise wouldn't be able to afford that, okay? So that's something that their company did every year. I was 20, and it was actually proposed that, hey, you can go along if you want to help work. So for that 10 days that I was there, I actually helped build a playground, and it was a massive one. I remember specifically like helping dig holes to put the posts in. So I would do that during the day, and then in the evening I worked basically at a gathering for people who worked at a church, like from all over Trinidad. Flannel boards, have you ever heard of these? Like in Sunday school, where it's like felt characters of like Moses or Jesus, and then you stick them to the board and you can tell stories that way. Well, that's something I grew up with in the 80s and 90s. But in Trinidad, they didn't have that. So that was a new teaching tool for churches. And me and this other guy who was a pastor for church, we went and taught people how to use those. And so it was physical manual labor during the day, and then it was teaching in the afternoons. So we were at a place where everyone spoke English. I don't ever recall hearing anyone speak anything other than English. Granted, there were times the accent was so thick I really just couldn't understand what they were saying, but they were speaking English. The ethnic background was Indian, and I mean from the nation of India, and African descent. That was the mix. So you could tell that sometimes certain people were more one than the other, and there was also some Chinese people there as well. I remember specifically there was a Chinese church that I went to when I was there. But those were the main groups of people I was around and dealt with. Yet English was the only language spoken the whole time. So let's break down how ethnocentric of me this story is. Well, we can agree that it reinforces the fact that I didn't have to speak English to go to this foreign country and do these things. But as far as why I was there, and you're going to see this in the series. Am I going to these foreign countries as a tourist? A lot of the times you're going to see that I'm not. I'm actually going there to serve other people. And that's how I ended up going out. I had to raise money to even go there. Like, for example, when I went to Ecuador, the church I was with, actually people from the church paid my way to go there. And then, of course, in this situation, the corporation where my dad worked paid for me to be there. But either way, though, it wasn't a vacation. There were a few moments of it which we could say were vacation-like. But all day, I was serving other people. So, how does that put things in perspective? Does that only reinforce, oh, he's ethnocentric because look how wealthy he must be if he can go to other countries just to help other people? Is that the ethnocentric part of this? You're going to be seeing this theme pop up again. The concept of, it's true I don't really speak any other languages. It's true I was born and raised in America, but I have traveled. And we're only about halfway through this series. I've still got some other countries to tell you about. But I think this video might be the most challenging so far in the series, because you're learning that my motivation for being in these other countries was to help other people. It wasn't about myself. It wasn't about, hey, let me take a great vacation. Often it was, let me raise money so people can crowdsource for me to go help other people. And again, for this, it was to help build a playground and to teach other people to help accommodate their churches. For Ecuador, it was, I did painting, I did drama groups and that sort of thing. Interacting with people without having to speak English. Well, I mean, without them having to speak English. Obviously, I spoke English. So there you go. Break it down. Tell me how ethnocentric I am as an American based on the stories you've heard, specifically this story about how in February of 2002, I went to Trinidad and Tobago. Comment section exists for a reason, for you to type right here. There it is. That's hard to do.